Hi, everybody. My name's Cliff. For those who don't know me, I've just finished a year-long campaign of playing Combat by Compass Games. And there are a lot of other games that have been waiting in the wings for their table time. I love playing solitaire, online and on the table with counters and maps. I love tactical games and World War II in particular, but I'm open to other theaters of operations. I've decided now to branch out a bit. Rather than focus just solely on one game forever, I'm going to popcorn around a bunch of different campaigns in a bunch of different games to keep things more interesting for me and for you if you choose to come along for the ride. One game that I've had now for a few months is Sniper, Kill Confirmed, also by Compass Games. This is a solid game by J. Kirkpatrick. It has a good core mechanism. It's solitaire. You're a sniper team. But there's a few things that leave me cold about this particular game. And I've decided to address some of that. And I want to show you what I've been up to for the last few months and get some feedback. You can tell me what you think. So here's sort of an introduction and rationale. The core game itself has a good, solid mechanism. I'm not going to screw around with that. So if you're familiar with the game, you will be if you follow along. I'm going to play a campaign with my new system. The action decks and tactical decks and location decks, I'm going to leave pretty much untouched. But I'm going to modify a lot of other stuff to make the narrative in the campaign much more engaging and interesting. The way it was released, I mean, you can watch Gimpy's review of it. He has a lot of the same feelings I do. There's three main problems. One is the game by itself, playing a one-off, is fine. But if you're going to play a campaign, there's a lack of variety, which seems kind of ironic on the face of it, because there are random location cards, there are random hostiles, there are random targets, there are 4 different biomes that you can fight in, the jungle and the countryside. You can be in the desert, or you can be in a ruined city. You'd think, well, there's lots of variety. But in fact, every single mission you are sent on is exactly 6 cards long, and it takes exactly 15 morale points to move from card to card every time. Your target is always at the same location, card. He might be at a slightly different distance, but he's always at the same place, and your exfiltration, to escape, to egress, is always at the same spot. And even though there are 4 biomes, all of the die roll modifiers are exactly the same for distance, for wind, and for the likelihood of the characters to be moving, whether you're in a city or the jungle or the countryside or whatever. It's always the same. I found that to be uninspiring, especially when you're trying to play a campaign. Even worse, there's a lack of character development in the way that Jay suggested setting up a campaign. You gather kill points for killing off hostiles and maybe VIPs, and you can use those kill points to buy stuff. But the things you can buy in the game as it's printed are basically weapon upgrades. So the emphasis is all on the technology on the weapon, and there's no real emphasis on improving your sniper's abilities, just the weapons that he's using. And honestly, that's not very realistic. I mean, how many snipers are going to go out into the field and be issued one rifle and then mid-campaign during their deployment be given an entirely different weapon system to use? I don't think it works that way. Never been in the military, never been a sniper, but the weapon systems we're talking about were released years and years apart from each other. So doing that just doesn't make any sense. And randomly picking biomes to go to. Hey, you're one mission you're in the jungle, the next mission you're in the desert. Where are they being deployed to? That you're in the jungle one day, and then you're in the desert the next day, and the next day you're in the countryside. I don't know what part of the globe that is. It just doesn't make any sense to me, and it doesn't create a story. It feels more like you're some sort of an elite assassin zipping around the world to pick off people rather than a sniper team in the Marine Corps or the Army. And lastly, third, and the thing that bothers me the most is that the way the game plays out doesn't feel right. I mean, sure, we get hands, and the hands have useless cards in them at times. That's how card-based games are, and you have to adapt. But the cards don't have enough variety in the ways you can implement them, so there aren't very many decisions to be made. Either you get a card you can use, or you don't, and you have to wait for the card you can use. There's no way to adapt and improvise with the cards. You just flat out have to have the right card. And the most egregious thing for me is it's emphasizing the marksmanship of a sniper, but not the fieldcraft of a sniper. I've known Marine Corps snipers. Scout snipers are good shots. But the thing they pride themselves on is their fieldcraft and the ability to blend in and be difficult to be seen and to engage, and that's pretty much absent in this game. There's really no stealth element. In order to progress from card to card, you need to get 15 morale points. And the only way to get morale points is to kill hostiles. So basically, you have to shoot your way in, kill the VIP, and shoot your way back out again. It's not very stealthy. It's right up in your grill. We're going to shoot our way in brute force. There's no skulking about. And we're going to shoot our way back out again until we get to the helicopter or however else we're going to exfil from this mission. So I wanted to create a system that addressed these three things. And I'm going to show you in this short video what I've done. So, like I said, all of these location cards, all of these action cards, and this tactical card, they're all the same. I've created new mission cards. Let me zip over there. Let me zoom in here. I've created 4 decks of missions, one for each biome. There's 10 different missions for each biome. These are missions that your sniper could be sent out on. Some are longer, some are shorter. The position of the target is different each time, and there is a backstory for each card. So let me show you. So like in the desert here, you could have a short mission like this. You're going after a local warlord. It's only 4 cards long. The number of morale points you need is 10, 25, 40. Your target is in card 3. Your egress point is in card 4. Or you could have something like this. A little longer, 5 cards. You got a IED team, which has been laying traps. Or it could be even longer. It could be an enemy officer. It takes all 6 cards. You can see the number of morale points varies. The position of the target varies. The position of your egress varies. You got a little backstory. Now, in addition, a place like the desert is going to be different than a place like the countryside. I've made specific terrain cards, terrain DRMs. So if you're playing in a ruined city or the desert, here's the desert that we just looked at, there are going to be diroll modifiers for the obstructions. A desert is pretty open. There are very few obstructions. Whereas in a ruined city, there are a lot of buildings and rubble and stuff obstructing your view. The likelihood of the target being moving is different. Highly likely in the desert, not so likely in a city. And the amount of wind, the desert's very windy. A ruined city is pretty windy. A jungle is got a lot of trees, so it's hard to see, a lot of obstructions, but not much wind. So each particular biome has its own DRMs. So to play this, I wanted to have campaigns, like real campaigns. So I made some pseudo-historical campaigns here. 10 to start with. there were snipers in all sorts of theaters of operations from World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Panama, Somalia, Afghanistan, Iraq. There's always been snipers around. They could be Marines, they could be Army. In the game, the place and the time was sort of generic. And the weapons they gave you to use were basically Marine Corps weapons. So, though he didn't say it, Jay meant that you were a Marine. So let's say I want to play Enduring Freedom. I'm going to send my sniper team in my campaign that's going to be coming up. I'm going to send them off to Afghanistan in 2002 in January. And in Afghanistan, my campaign deck is going to include 3 of the random countryside cards, 5 random desert cards, and 2 random ruined city cards. So each time you play that particular campaign, you'll get a different mix of missions out of those decks. I tried to pick mixtures of biomes that were representative of the particular theater of operations. So I do that. So if I did this, and I will do this for my next video when we actually set up a mission, all I would do is I would shuffle these and shuffle these. I better put this back in. Flip this, put it back in. Shuffle it up, shuffle these up. I can shuffle them, shuffle them, shuffle them, shuffle them. Okay, I need 3 countryside. 1, 2, 3. I need 5 deserts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need 2 ruined cities. 1, 2. That should be 10 cards. And the remainder of these cards I don't need for the rest of this campaign, so I'd be able to just get rid of them. And this is now my campaign deck. 10 missions I'm going to do on this deployment. Randomize them. My first mission up would be the ruined city. The hostiles and the targets are just like before. So let's take a ruined city up here. I flip it, and I see that it's a local leader. This is a Taliban leader that we're all going to be sent out. We've got 10, 25, and 40. I've made it so that you can adjust the number of morale points you need. Set that to 10, 25, 25, and 40. And we're in a ruined city, so I just take the ruined city deck. I put that over my draw. I shuffle them up. And I need 4 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're ready to go. I see that my target's in the 3rd card. My egress point is in the 4th card. And my sniper goes in the 1st card. And the 1st card is a Claymore right away. So we'd be dealing with that right away. So I can run different campaigns. Different campaigns occur at different times. Enduring Freedom is 2001, 2002. The weapon systems are just chrome now. I have cards where I've gotten some historical data for different weapon systems. Let's say I'm a U.S. Marine. In 2001, 2002, they were using the M40A1. So I'd use the M40A1 right here as my weapon, which doesn't give me any modifiers. We can still earn our other weapons by spending kill points to get the combat knife or the semi-automatic pistol. Just like the original, this is not a weapon per se. These represent skills, close combat skills that our sniper team has been developing. Our spotter has been getting better at security. So we can improve our close combat skill. That's what we're really doing, not getting a knife, because we would have already had a bloody knife. It's just that we are improving our close combat skill. In addition, I have improved the tech tree. Our tech tree now is based on skills. There are offensive skills, defensive skills, and then there are fieldcraft skills. Defensively, you can buy Alert. On alert, when you come into a card like a claymore or a tripwire, you can roll a die first. If you roll a 5 or a 6, you totally detect the threat and it's neutralized. And you don't have to deal with it. If you roll a 1 through 4, you're still stuck with dealing with the claymore, and you're going to have to discard 4 cards in order to take a wound, and then use a med card to get rid of that wound. So you can still dispose of your 4 cards, but first you get to try to neutralize the threat. Or you can choose to buy camo, which always gives you another +1 to cover. If you're in a +2 cover card, this +1 makes you basically invisible. They can never find you or hit you. Or you can become more skilled. Fieldcraft, if you have this skill, you can put it on any action card and convert that card to a blank. 2 blank cards are basically wild cards. You can make them be a crawl, a fire, a move, a suppress, anything you want. A lot of times you only have 1 blank card and it's not useful. With Fieldcraft, you can convert another card to blank and now you've got a wild card. So Fieldcraft makes you much more adaptable and your hand much more useful. Infiltrate allows you to move forward before you've succeeded in getting the correct number of morale points. You can roll a die and use a move card, and if you roll high enough, a 5 or a 6, you can spend a move card to automatically move up to the next card and gain 15 morale points and 1 kill point. It's kind of like when you hit the VIP or hit somebody with a airstrike. You get 15 morale points. This gives you 15 morale points and a kill point if you succeed. Trigger. Your sniper has worked on his trigger, got it down to like 3 pounds pull, gives you a +1 to hit on all shots. And then Windage here is actually a spotter skill. He's much better at calling out wind effects, and you get a +1 to your die roll modifier for wind on all shots. So those are offensive skills. You have some defensive, some offensive, some skills that affect your overall sniper's fieldcraft ability, some for close combat. You'll never have enough kill points to buy all of these things in a campaign. You have to pick. So are you going to emphasize offense? Are you going to emphasize defense? Are you going to emphasize your skills as a sniper? It's up to you. You develop that over the campaign. So between making each biome different for die roll modifiers, pulling a variety of cards with much more colorful missions, and having a tech tree built around sniper skills rather than just the weapons that they're using, I feel like this is a much more engaging game. I'd be really interested in hearing what you have to think, what you have to say. What do you think about what I've done? I'm going to play out a campaign here. I'll probably start a mission tomorrow, and I've got other things I want to play too. So I'll be rotating around, play a little of this and a little of that. Let me know in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you later. That's it for today. I'll talk to you next time.